No apologies on my is a bit slow, Chair. Other than that, we are fine, Chair.
Okay. We have invited honorable members, the Department of Public Service and Administration and the National Development during this Youth Month plan highlighting the importance objective. These two presentations are internationalizing the public service by ensuring that our responsibility is to hold government accountable in achieving the objectives of the National Development Plan, more particularly programs that are quotes from our struggle leaders of tomorrow. Close of government has the responsibility to ensure position, prioritize young people of this country. Honorable members, as we were preparing for this unfortunate a member of parliament from KwaZulu-Natal on the National Assembly meeting, I will therefore, honorable members, ask Dr. Dlamini. Thank you, honorable member. Is presentation by DPSA. And I will therefore invite the honorable minister to, before the presentations are made, on this presentation.
Opportunity. I greet the Deputy Minister, extend my greetings to the DG of DPSA and the principal of the School of Government, the National School of Government. I hope he is linked somewhere. I will just make one set of remarks for both because they are related. Chair Con, who also on time got inherited by the international community and became looking up to him for leadership. It still inspires us very much. That's and the suffering, all of it. Having seen is on behalf of DPSA but before they present, when this is and I think I would commend all my predecessors, both in the realize these goals, noble goals and objectives. However, I just want to say that we've come to a point where we've got to that we are now you risk adjust, pointing to more and more exposed to some of the things or these concepts to young people and all these initiatives are concerned, surviving the turbulence that we are going through. But apart from that, there also are certain things apart from just risk based on the limitations that we are facing, but based on some of the principles, including the need to journalism and all those matters, all from implementing, but they are imposed. Having made these remarks, Chair, I would then, including as per your fairness directives of the system, invite including imposing limitations the Director General because of PSA. I would then, thank you very much. As per your the imperatives of the DPSA administration, having made this presentation,
the on screen.
I would then, thank you very much. Fairness.
Can you see me, Charles?
Yes, please, so that
Okay. Thank you, Chair. Can you see me, Chair? Chairperson, good morning to the school principal and his colleagues to the topic at hand. In a few days' time, we'll be celebrating. In terms of the content, we'll take you, Chair, briefly through a rationale for some of the legislative mandate, the budgeting for the development programs, and up until we go, the last slide will show you some of the statistics of what we have in the system. But since the 1st of April 2018, the original determination was to count other areas of the development program. The review took into account the need into the opportunity to gain more work experience in the work mode, to increase the chances of retention of talent and value for money, because there's investments in money in the artisan development programs, the graduate in 2009. To a male who is part of the program gets pregnant and has to go give birth and take care of the child for a few days, what happens in such situations? In the public sector must also be trying to partner with some of the TVET colleges, because they require. This review allowed them to the purpose of acquiring statutory professional registration. And she has done all the theoretical part, but now she needs to go into the practice part before she can get the statutory professional registration within the field. So this program now allows for that to be able to take place. To say that the view really is to promote investment in strengthening state departments' talent. This is about the talent pipeline, first and foremost. A country's youth development agenda. This has been a big issue. When this program was started, I was probably cities and the pipeline being created for young people in terms of the country's youth, and also the national development plan, amongst others, and also just improve prospects of young people to get employment in the public service first, but we know that some of them end up in other them here. The most important is the public and chapter 2 of the and other employment practices. Key policy 2013. I think the learnership program and the apprenticeship program within government. These are some of the definitions, Chair. I'm not going to spend time on them, but just to say, when we talk about it, it is a workplace or practical component and is unemployed but requires workplace, a program offered to a person who is currently studying towards qualification. And then there's the candidacy development or professional registration, which I spoke about earlier on. Learnership program, I think we all know the learnership program. It's the structured learning program that combines theory with practice, which is a person who is employed in the public service in terms of a learnership agreement under auspices of the Minister of Public Service and Administration. Apprentice and includes a trade test in respect to that trade. Artisan shall mean a person that has been certified as competent to perform. Graduate recruitment scheme is basically where you recruit and train graduates for specific roles, or a program to recruit and train graduates through a product development program. Programs, we unity to be able to compete through a young person requires a structured, like those who are in a shorter period, for instance, for 4 months or 6 months, and the department would be able to accommodate as long as it does not exceed 6 months, and they do all the paperwork in terms of signing what is required. Our programs, we're looking for interns in it sufficient to give them an opportunity they are developing, which is an 18-month program that looks at supporting them over a 4-month period, 8 months. Depend graduate recruitment schemes, these ones that are specific. For instance, SSA that run very specific graduate development programs. State SA could be targeting young people in the space of statistics, and as I indicated, is really up to 24 months. Just in terms of conditions of service, they qualify for incapacity leave, and it shall not exceed a period of 24 consecutive days when spread together. That can be made to, when you readmit them, you decide, and also depending on the fields of study or program that they are part of. Now, the biggest issue, Chair, about this program, or any of the development programs I've talked about,
is the budgeting, because our instructions or our regulation says a head of department shall ensure that the sufficient budgets funds are made for these programs. And there's a number of things that you do in terms of preparing for these development programs. You have to ensure there's a monthly stipend and allowance for they must go for training with the National School of Government or its appointed partners, and the employer, who is the department hosting, must pay for that training. So as well as cost for reasonable accommodation, especially employment verification, because in terms of Section 57, we still must do pre-employment verification, because we don't want to bring young people who are compromised through the program. You can't really limit that much access to the good things about the public service. The cost, if due to incapacity or if to the system, leave taken during the intentional care, I've just said below line, the first line from below, you would see that the program attempts to accommodate everybody. If you have a grade 9, there is and you are able to access maybe one of the programs like the learnerships and etc. You paid at level 1. If you have a national certificate, you get paid at level 2. If you have national certificate vocation 2 level 3 certificate, which is a grade 12, you get paid at level 4. You get paid at level 5. But if you have a master's postgraduate diploma, level 8. If you are a master's degree, level 9. If you have a doctorate degree and above, level 10. And then the next columns also give a guidance at what notch within a level and the other technical calculations. So there's no special scale that we develop and say this is the scale of the interns, but we're linking it within our own scales. In terms of exit management, we always encourage departments to consider. Departments have vacancies and takes a long time to fill vacancies, but we encourage that they are expected to monitor implementation and compliance of. My own assessment shows that we could do database of interns in the system so that we can talk to them directly. We can do surveys with them and get feedback from them on how they are working. Partner will be giving it, but it's one of those things we have identified, able to get feedback from them as well, what needs to be improved. We ask departments to do this at their level. Some departments do it and some don't do it to give that particular feedback. And then the persons who are on experiential learning require a logbook which is approved by their institutions. Those who are on a program linked to statutory employment verification prescribed, I spoke about, and I'll share some of the statistics that we have currently that are in place, and some of them that we are thinking about, struggle with accommodation. And we think that responsibility to issue norms and standards in terms of remote working. So we should also be able to accommodate the fact that some of the interns don't need to be in there who are working on policy matters because they are graduates in public policy and management and they have an interest in that space. They don't need to come to the office every day, but they need to have the capable tools and office in a hybrid manner. There's an issue around, and so we think that there must be stronger collaboration with disability persons. You'll see later when I show you statistics that really difficult to meet the target. There is also an issue about reactivate our attempt to recruit the best as partners for these programs, and they will give a number of reasons. Sometimes it's just a relationship that's not working perfectly. So the issue of direct monitoring from our part is very important, and that interns must know that they can also speak directly to the department, even though they are hosts. I've spoken about reporting. I think how we utilize the PESAL function in government is also important, and the PESAL access to PESAL, I mean the PESAL function is decentralized, credible. I must say though that the review, because the stats year outlook, which is 2014 to 2019, the 2019-2020 financial year stats, we could not add them because of the reporting issues that colleagues have been. I'll reflect on that. So the information on PESAL has been quite useful. The alignment of our human resource development interventions is very important internally in departments. The allocation of budgets, I've raised the issue of budgets earlier on. It's a very critical issue. There is no clear budgets that are ring-fenced for this particular, but I'm going to, okay. I've tried to mute the person from my side. And the interventions we speak about, there's an issue about these programs not reaching rural areas, and I think most find a mechanism, and our advertising and these programs are accessible so that the young people know they work certified copies and able to send us information electronically when they apply, and we require that they bring the certified documentation only when they have been shortlisted. It's easier for people to access police stations than any place. Certifying is not a core responsibility of the South African. The interventions continue here. I think what we're raising here, that consult firstly internally, especially with the minister and the departments, that a certain percentage of our new employed permanently in the department, because in the entry level posts in the department, because you are now ensuring that this pipeline, because of retirement and because of other reasons for attrition, financial situation that we're in the country. Otherwise, it doesn't help to take only a percentage that we retain in the system that goes through with the system. We're also saying that we need, you are starting in a university, maybe if because of young people to focus on of those people is important to us as well, and to track them and see where they are. Is government just giving people bursaries and not following up to educate, to give them opportunities? When I was in university, chairperson, the Public Service Commission, that was in the 90s. And so part of the attraction of me being in the public service currently. So the importance of those external bursaries cannot be underestimated. The other issue is there's lots of masters and PhD students that bursary to study a second master's at Stellenbosch. But from the prescript, we said NSG about it, how we do it better, collaborating, because there's lots of information that's sitting there, and we could be tapping into this information, research information, quality information, because people bring it together and to sift it and to engage with those who get this information. The last part, Chair, of this presentation is just some statistics I'm sharing with you. If you look at this slide, we're talking about the implementation. We have internships, we have the first column, the apprenticeships, and any other program. If you look at this, in 20 graduate interns, and we had 12,715 specifically graduate interns in 18-19. And so you can see with each of the categories, Chairperson. And this slide is also trying to explain this point, but is giving you more detail in terms of each of the provinces involved, per province, nationally and national. You can see that the program attracts lots of coloreds, followed by Asian, Indians, followed by whites. And then we have the totals there at the end. But if you look at provinces, Cape, and you look at the ratio of Africans and coloreds in respect to the Western Cape as an example, and you just look at some of the alignment there in terms of the race profiling and demographics in the country,